So, rooftop tents, kind of the trendy in thing right now. We're just finishing up our second weekend camping with our Roofnest Falcon up there. And we've had people like asking us questions, and we've had thumbs up on the highway, and people are totally into it. It looks like this weird black UFO on top of the car as we're going down the highway, but I don't know, people seem to dig it, and it's really nice. And let me just highlight a couple of the real basic pros and cons of general rooftop tenting, and then we'll go into some specifics about the Roofnest Falcon in particular. So just in general, the setup and teardown is so fast, and that's one of the huge and awesome things about it. You know, we rolled in here, and here I'll play a video clip of us setting up the tent. I mean, it is like, okay, so we just got here to Arroyo Seco, and we're going to do camping out here for a couple of days and some creek walking. And truly one of the coolest things about a rooftop tent is how quickly you can set up. Now, literally, we just pulled in. We did spend a minute or two leveling the vehicle a little bit. And then also we just went to the bathrooms and brushed our teeth and that kind of stuff. Let's set up the tent. Let's see how quick this is. So there are little latches back here, and there's even a stupid key to put in here, but honestly, it's kind of dumb. You can just put your finger in here and rotate it. It's very easy. And there it goes. So that's step one. A few more things to do. There's this elastic cord which kind of holds everything together and pulls the tent in together as you lower it. So let's go ahead and get this out of the way. I guess technically you could jump in and not care about it, but we're going to bring this down like that. All right. Down. Okay, there we go. These are a couple of metal rods to hold the fly out here. Not really important here. It's not windy at all, not rainy at all, whatever. I'm just gonna throw this in. But pillows we do need. And anything else?
That's all.
I think that's kind of it.
Yeah, we have a blanket inside.
Yeah, all the bedding's inside. Why don't you climb on up and I'll be right behind you. Can you do that while holding the camera? Give me your feet. I'll put the cameras off. And here we are. Shazam! That was like 1 minute, 2, something like that.
About 3 minutes.
Yeah, here we are in our Roofnest Falcon, otherwise known as the Aluminum Falcon.
What the hell is an aluminum falcon?
So over there is a caveman putting up an old style tent. It's 10:30 at night. They showed up late. God, I hate that. I always hated showing up late at a campsite and trying to like set up camp in the dark. God, that sucks. I feel sorry for him, but he needs to evolve. And then also tearing down as well. Yeah, honestly, for like a ground tent, I would say it's almost worse, because a ground tent, you've got to like pull the sticks out, and you've got to fold things upright and roll it up and get the air out of it, and then take the tarp and get it and shake that off and stuff. And it's a huge process. And maybe you don't care. Maybe you fold your tarp with the dust in and just shove it in the car, and you promise yourself you'll clean that out when you get home, and you never do. Something like that. Whereas this, I mean, there is a little bit of work to like make sure everything like goes in and a clamshell closes properly, but it takes like 5 minutes, something like that. And so it's so nice in that regard. Number 2 is you are up and out of the food chain. First night we spent in this out in Mono Lake, we totally heard some coyotes howling in the middle of the night, which again, since we were 6 feet off the ground, was just cool as opposed to interesting. Second night we were down in Death Valley, and it was kind of funny. It was after dark, and we were doing some star photography. And so we had, all the lights off, and Monica was playing with her tripod and her camera, trying to take some star photography shots and stuff. And at some point I turned on the flashlight to kind of see what was going on and whatever at the ground. And yeah, it's in the desert, and it's like during the day it was 115, and so all the little creepy crawly predators come out at night. And so there was like several beetles and this weird scorpion looking thing, and it was like, holy cow, again, thank goodness we're 6 feet up in the air. And then just last night we were here just hanging out, having some dinner, and our neighbors next door, they were playing cornhole. And all of a sudden, one of the guys just like goes running off with like his hands over his head, and the other 3 of them were clustered around looking at something. And so we went over and looked, and check out this video footage. Look at this. Again, good thing to be 6 feet up off the ground and out of the food chain. Now let's talk some cons really quick. So number 1, let's be honest, price. So a cheap ground tent from Walmart can be very inexpensive. Our neighbors here, they had a kind of a cool like van life kind of van, kind of a mid-sized van, and they had one of the rooftop tents that you can get from REI, and those like go for like $1,000 to $1,500. I'm not really a fan of those because they kind of fold open in a funny origami way and have this cover that goes on it. They're very thick and tall, so very not aerodynamic at all. Not really a fan of it, but it's much less expensive. This thing here, the Roofnest Falcon, it just came out. It's a brand new product from Roofnest. They have a whole bunch of other ones, honestly, but this one is brand new. Its selling point is that it's an aluminum shell and it's very thin. And we got our order in during an introductory pricing. It was just under $3,000. And now after that introductory pricing is over, plus these are actually, I believe, made in China, and so plus the current trade war stuff going on, these things have gone up to like $3,500 already. So pricey. That's definitely a huge downside. Probably my second biggest downside is that at times when the place you want to camp is not next to where you can park, you're kind of screwed. Because of course your tent is on your car, and that's where you are stuck. And in fact, next weekend we're going to be in the Russian River camping with a bunch of friends, and the kind of group campground area is separate from the parking area. And so while all our friends will have all their tents around the picnic tables and the campfires and stuff, we'll have to lug our stuff down and hang out and have dinner, and then lug our stuff back and climb on top of the car in the parking area. So 2 big negatives. I don't know, honey, do you have any other pros or cons you want to add into this?
I think mine would be a ladder. It is very hard on the feet when you are climbing up barefoot.
Let's see if I can get the ladder in the frame.
Typically,
yeah, here we go.
we put down the blanket and leave our shoes off, and then try to climb the ladder. And that's steel or I think aluminum with the hard edges is like really tough on the feet. So I don't know, we haven't figured out yet like if you need like some kind of like flip-flops or,
tent
or
slippers,
something to take with us, because getting up is
especially in the middle of the night when you got to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, you can kind of angle your feet to climb up to kind of avoid those edges, but going down sucks the most.
Yeah.
And also you could climb up with the feet with the shoes and then toss them off.
Yeah, but then you gotta find them.
But really the what sucks is like getting
coming
down and coming down. And
maybe what we need is like some sort of like pouch just on the edge for like flip-flop storage. Yeah. Like so you can climb the ladder and just take it off and go bloop right there.
Right.
And I don't know if that pouch could be like with a flap to make it like waterproof. Water resistant, something like that.
You can definitely look into that. It's It's a good idea.
Something like that. Something like that. Anyway, you want to show them inside?
Sure, let's do that. Okay, so let's look at the mattress. This comes with, is it 3 inches thick?
Yeah, 3 inches.
Kind of foam mattress, which is kind of definitely good, but it's kind of tough. So what we do, we actually pad it a little bit with one of the sleeping bags and this awesome Roofnest feather blanket. It's really nice and warm. It's super thin, but it keeps you warm. We haven't tried it in super cold weathers yet, but for kind of the cool evenings and cool mornings, this is really nice. Now there are 3 windows, and each of them has kind of 2 covers. One is kind of the net for protection from bugs and kind of giving you fresh air, and you can kind of zip it up separately. And then there is a second one, which is kind of a heavier canvas that you can zip up to, and depending, you know, if you're cold or if you need privacy, you can just zip it halfway and just have it this way, so while still you are getting fresh air. Or if you have a windy conditions, you can zip it up, you know, halfway, and so the wind is not kind of blasting in your face. And then here behind me we have this net. It's mounted here on the aluminum roof on 4 points, so it doesn't really have like a solid mounting, and it's also elastic. So this really is great for holding kind of light clothes or light items. So the nice thing about this is that you can hang stuff from it, like a flashlight, or we like to put our glasses, hang our glasses from here. So this is really nice. And then the last thing, on each side there is this nice pocket, one and here, and I like to use it for a water bottle. It just perfectly slides in, and it's out of the way, and you can just get it out. And regarding the size, the space inside, it's really big enough for 2 of us. We are not tiny people. Carly's 6'2", I'm 5'9", and we just comfortably lie stretched out, no problems, having our feet scrunched or anything. And also sideways, it's a little bit cozy, but it is, I like extra space, but it is
Tolerable? It's about 4 feet wide.
Yeah, so it's really nice. Thanks for coming in.
So one of the big reasons why I really like the Roofnest Falcon, when I researched all the different rooftop tents and stuff, the big thing stand out for me is the aluminum frame and the thickness. It's 6.5 inches thick. Most rooftop tents, the more plastic ones, either from Roofnest or others, or the ones that kind of fold up with a canvas cover on it, those are more like 10, 12, even 16 inches thick. So this is just 6.5 inches thick. So 2 big things with that. One, our miles per gallon really hasn't been significantly affected by having this on up here. So that's awesome. Number 2, we can actually mount this up and slide it underneath our garage door without having to, I don't know, mount it up outside the garage and park outside and then load all our camping gear and stuff. That's a nightmare, right? So the whole concept of a whole rooftop tent paradigm is ease of setup and takedown, right? And so there you go, we can roll out of our garage. So the design here, the Roofnest Falcon, has these little grooves here, and these grooves allow you to move these little mounting points around. So these things here, that's where the ladder attaches. And so you can actually move these to the back and use the back as a mounting point for the ladder, or they give you enough hardware for 2 of them. So we have one on each side, depending on how we park. The gas struts here, obviously. Now these grooves also, it's kind of a T-groove, there's a notch inside. So we put some tape on the front to try to smooth out the airflow, because there definitely is some wind noise troubles. It's kind of funny, I would say the wind noise is actually the worst around 40, 50 miles an hour. When you get to freeway speeds, then the tire noise and other noises kind of balance that out and overwhelm it. But at the slightly lower speeds, 20, 30 miles an hour, there's not really any wind noise. But in that middle zone, in that 40, 50 mile per hour range, you actually get some reasonable wind noise. So part of it, I think, putting the tape over the grooves here really kind of helped. But also, generally, I've been kind of thinking about maybe trying to make this more aerodynamic up front, some way to round these corners off and stuff, because it's really kind of hard aluminum edges, and I'm sure the airflow is separating and causing turbulence and stuff. Also on the bottom here, if you can just shoot slightly, you can see these main grooves. These are what actually the mounting hardware goes to, and you can see it right here. There's this mounting loop right here, which again, kind of a notch here when you have a bolt that slides into the T-hole and comes riding on in here, and you bolt it down. So again, there's all sorts of stuff here down here to be caught by the wind. So I'll try taping it up or various things, try to smooth out the airflow, but that's kind of a problem just because our Volvo is kind of a premium, quiet, heck, electric powered sometimes SUV, and so noise levels are kind of important. I'm sure on a Jeep or a Tacoma or a 4Runner, we don't give a darn about a little bit of wind noise. And actually for us, again, when we're doing 70, 75 miles an hour, it's not really significant. It's not really a big deal. Noticeable. If you're worried about this, definitely find a friend who has a rooftop tent and go for a ride with them. It's noticeable, but for us at least, not a huge deal. There's a nice rubber strip in here, as well as inside there's a bit of a metal groove. I thought you can see it. There's a metal groove that actually pops up inside, so it really fits together. And I've taken this to the car wash and had the car wash guys like power washing into it, and no water got into it. You know, just in the little gap here, but none actually into the canvas, into the tent. Here's the other side. There's the other mount points for the ladder. And that's that, Roofnest Falcon. You know, the big things again is I really wanted a clamshell style because they're kind of thinner and I kind of feel like they're more stable. They honestly give more headroom. We're both very tall, and so since it goes up like this, where our heads are, we have a lot of headroom, whereas the ones that pop straight up maybe it gives our feet more room, but it wouldn't give our heads more room, right? So I kind of like that style. We also have the aluminum side, which we can face into the sun or into the rain or into crazy wind like we had in Death Valley. So it's kind of nice to have that nice solid one side of the tent. And we haven't done the whole thing in rain yet, so TBD on how that all works. Maybe one other thing I should point out really quick. So the Volvo is kind of rounded for an SUV, and so the ladder on here kind of needs to come out past everything. And so when Monica was talking about the ladder kind of hurting her feet, that's because the kind of square ladder steps are then tilted, right? So you have kind of an edge. And even more so back here, again, if you got a square-sided rear of your vehicle, you could totally do a ladder back here. For us, the rear end curves way back here. There's no way we have a ladder on the back side here. So that's a bit of a trade-off for the vehicle we use. So one thing I totally forgot to mention about the whole rooftop tenting thing is leveling the vehicle, right? If it's not really level left to right or forward back, that can make for some funky things up in the sleeping bags upstairs. So I was also kind of looking for some sort of traction board, like Max Trax and that kind of thing that you might, well, honestly, you kind of mount on the side of the tent or maybe even on top of that kind of thing. Didn't really want that, didn't really want to mess up the airflow and stuff. So what I got are things called Go Treads. So check this out. So the Go Treads are these traction mats, but they're segmented so that you can use them both as a leveling device for the vehicle, but also you can lay them out for traction in snow or sand or that kind of stuff, and they pack up nice and small. Awesome solution, and kills two birds with one stone. Anyway, that's our review of the Roofnest Falcon. It's made of aluminum, and so we've been dubbing it the Aluminum Falcon. And we'll probably put some stickers up on top of it to reflect that in due course. And we're having a great time. We got another camping trip coming up in just a week, and we're just having a blast with it. 2 thumbs up.